some years ago, a dear parishioner, Hannah, came to see me. She had returned from her father's funeral, and she sat with me in my study with bewildered tears. And she has a very soft soul. She's a very beautiful person. At that time, she was unmarried. She's an attorney, and she loves the Lord. And she described the events of the past week, and she said, "Pastor, I got a phone call out of the blue. Someone on the other end said, 'I'm sorry to tell you, your father has died.'" And she said, it was just like that, just that plain. No other conversation. The caller didn't elaborate. No other details. Just, your father's died and he's here in the morgue. And she said that her father left home when she was little. And this is Hannah's words. "He hated my mother. He hated her. And he didn't want anything to do with me either." And what she shares next, she just breaks her voice as she begins to softly weep. "When my parents split up," Hannah said, "neither of them wanted me. I've always believed that my father hated me. He's never provided for me, never," she said. And then with this sudden kind of little pain of anger, he couldn't save any money. He never gave me or Mom anything. When I began making plans for his burial, he said, I called his girlfriend to see if she knew of any provision that he left for his burial, and there wasn't any. And she said, I realized I was going to have to do even this all by myself. And she said, it wasn't just the money, Pastor. It was like the pain of realizing that even in his death, he'd been selfish. It was like the final blow of rejection. It was hurting me even from the grave. But then she shifted, and I realized some new information was about to emerge. And Hannah said, but while she was making the burial preparations, she said, I discovered that he had a safe deposit box at the bank. And after quite a bit of effort, she said, I was allowed to check the contents of the bank. And Hannah stopped and she stared at me, frozen with the confusion of some strange new light. And she said, Pastor, Dad had a little insurance policy. It was not a lot, but it was something. And she paused a long time. And she said, I was the sole beneficiary. And she said he had several $1,000s in cash in the box, which had obviously been left for arrangements for his funeral. And he left a note for me in there. The money was for me. She said, it was for me. I don't understand, she said. He could have left that money to his girlfriend or somebody else, but he left it for me. And she said, Pastor, he had a coin collection. It was his pride and joy, and it was in the box. And the note said, it was for me too. And we sat there in the silence. And finally Hannah said, what does it mean, Pastor? I said, Hannah, I think what it means is simple. The father you always assumed hated you, loved you. And now you got to reevaluate how you look at your life. I am convinced if we could have our eyes opened up to see how God has been at work, that there has been a love of God that got passed down through a stream of generations that might have seemed invisible to us for all the pain we've experienced in life. But if we could really see it, we'd have to reinterpret everything. The power of the curse is temporary. But God's blessing goes on and on and on. And that's the gospel. Father, we're so grateful to you for the love of Jesus Christ.